Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.
Smoking. Speaking of smoking, a Fine Gael TD has called for the age limit for the purchase of cigarettes and other tobacco products to be raised from 18 to 21 years of age. I wouldn't disagree with him personally. Cork North Central TD Colin Burke says, and Colin is the same man as far as I remember, who said that we should increase the age for buying a mobile phone to 15 going back a few years ago. I think the same guy, which was a good idea too, but never actually happened. It says this change will help Ireland meet the public health target for less than 5% smoking rate by 2025. And I think we're all for that, are we? Yeah, we are. We know that smoking is a contributory factor in 4,500 deaths each year. So maybe this idea is worth considering. Now, I don't want to be a scaremonger because as an ad goes out on the radio, 1 in 2 people will die of a smoking-related illness. Now, before I analyse that line, by the way, can I point out that I absolutely agree smoking is bad for you. It's bad for your health. It's not good for you. Give it up if you can. I shouldn't be smoking. But when you say smoking will kill, 1 or 2 people will die of a smoking-related illness. You know, so if you die of lung cancer, for example, that is a smoking-related illness. You may not even be a smoker, but it's a smoking-related illness. If you die of emphysema, it's a smoking-related illness. So that statistically is correct, but you might not necessarily be a smoker. Do you understand what I'm saying? In saying that, I want to once again say that smoking is really bad for you. Please don't do it. But what about the vapes, you say? Are you saying that? Are you sitting at home going, no, what about the vapes? I think we all know someone who does not smoke, never did, but for some reason, vapes. A lot of younger people especially do this. It's very tricky for parents because you can't smell the vapes the way you could smell the cigarettes years ago. And the truth is, we don't know the damage that they will do. I don't buy into, it's 95% safer than smoking cigarettes. We really don't know that. I'm sure doctors said that 40 years ago about tobacco. Do you remember those ads on the TV? Their general surgeon recommends smoking Camel. Do you remember those ads years ago? The doctors smoke Camel. If doctors were asked, they smoke Marlboro. Yeah, I remember those ads years ago on the TV. So doctors were even smoking. So what do you say? Why don't we raise the age for buying cigarettes and vapes to 21? And then why don't we phase them out by raising it again next year to 22? Because that's exactly what they're doing in New Zealand. And now, they didn't mention the vapes in New Zealand, but I'm mentioning it. Is that a bit too radical? If cigarettes were invented now, you know, and I know, they would never be sold. They would never be legalised. So why don't we get rid of them? There's a very famous sketch, by the way, by Bob Newhart, when Sir Walter Raleigh brought tobacco into Europe for the first time, before people actually smoked. And somebody was saying, could you imagine the phone call when he was importing it? And he was, ringing his wholesalers in the UK. They're going, what do you mean you got some leaves, Walter? And he goes, yeah, 10,000 tons of them. What do you do with the leaves? You stick them in your mouth and you set them on fire. Oh, okay. That sounds like a really good idea. Anyway, smoking is different to almost all other drugs. There is not one argument for any health benefit whatsoever. They are just bad. But then again, we need free will, don't we? We have the choice. Who cares if some of us want to ruin our health? We get one life, it's ours to do it what we want to. We can eat donuts all day. We can drink Coca-Cola all day. We can overdose on red meat if we want to. We can do whatever we want. We have free will to be as healthy or as unhealthy as we'd like. But if we want to save people, and if we really care about people, and if we really care about the health service, and let's be clear about it, it does put the health service under stress when a lot of people are smoking. I'm not suggesting, by the way, they don't pay for it. They do in their taxes because there's a massive amount of tax on cigarettes. 15 quid, probably 10 of that more actually is tax. The rest of it is actually the cost of cigarettes, but probably come out per packet, probably come out of a factory for 40 cents. So should we phase out smoking and vaping entirely and make it illegal, say, by a certain date? Would that be a good idea? Would you like to see that? Or is that an infringement on your rights to kill yourself if that's what you want to do by smoking, by continuing to smoke? Let me know what you think. The number is 087 188 0008. 087 188 0008. Do you believe that smoking should be eventually banned and we should start now by slowly increasing the age? 087 188 0008. Should we ban smoking and vaping? Niamh, hi, how are you?
Hi, Niall. How are you? Welcome back.
Thank you very much indeed, Niamh. I'll probably get that. At what point do I stop people saying that? Because it's been going on for 4 days now. It's like
give it another week. Give it another week or so for your ego, and then you'll be grand.
yeah, because it's kind of like the New Year's Eve thing, you know, when you come back after Christmas and everyone goes, Happy New Year, Niall. And it's kind of middle of January and you're kind of going, oh, okay, we're well into it now. You know?
Well, at least a week, because I haven't spoken to you in the 3 days, so there you go.
Oh, yeah. Did you go away on holidays with your broken arm this year?
I didn't. No, hadn't gone anywhere. I was just, no, it's been a disaster, to be honest. Can't wait to see the back of the summer.
right,
Personally,
okay.
it hasn't been a good one.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I think a lot of people are not looking forward to the winter because that's going to be even worse when you try to heat your home and the cost of that.
That's true.
Yeah. How's your broken arm? How's your broken arm, by the way? Is it okay again?
No, I'm just waiting on an MRI. They probably have to do surgery on it. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a bit more serious than I thought.
Oh, are they not going to have to re-break it? I remember a mate of mine had to get his arm re-broken, and I went, what's that about? And I said, what, they literally put it? He says, yeah, I think they put it into some sort of machine and re-break it again.
No, thank God. No, they don't have to do that, thank God. It's something to do with there's calcium has formed where it broke.
Okay.
So it's the calcium, all of it can't be reabsorbed.
Right.
So the remainder is pushing on something, which is causing the pain. So they probably have to, they just want to see on the MRI how much is there.
Right, okay.
And then they go in and squeeze it like a little bit of toothpaste, like a tube of toothpaste, and get rid of it. And then it goes. It's apparently it's fine. It's not a big. It's not
invasive.
It's I can't say the word.
Day surgery.
Laparoscopy.
Laparoscopy.
The one they do with the laser. I don't know. I can't pronounce it.
It doesn't matter. I don't know the name of it either. So, Niamh, getting back to health. Well, speaking of healthcare, you know, we all know smoking is not good for us. Do you smoke?
No, I'm off. Remember, you and I were going to do the smoking buddy thing together, and you went off on a holiday instead. You stopped talking about that very quickly, didn't you?
I do remember. I do remember you were. You were my smoke buddy. That's right.
And then you left me on my own.
I remember that.
Well, you continued to smoke.
I did, but I always find an excuse. Asher, I'm going away on holidays. It's Christmas.
Leaving the country was a major excuse. So you didn't have to quite go that far. I wouldn't have hassled you that much.
So, Niamh, you're off them now. How long are you off them now?
Just over 3 months.
Right, okay. Very good, very good. Oh, I do remember that was my last break. Yeah, I do remember that now. So, and how do you feel? Do you feel better or the same?
Yeah, I feel grand. I thought now, me with me very addictive personality, I thought I'd be hooked on the vape, but I can kind of take that or leave that now at this stage, which I'm glad about.
Right, okay.
It went missing a couple of days ago and it took me a day and a half to find it, and I was fine.
Well, then why bother then? If you're fine, why bother with it?
Because if sometimes just it's psychological. Sometimes the boredom hits, especially sitting around so much now. Boredom hits, or you have a bit of a stressful day and you think you need it. But if it's just a pull, I'd rather that. I know it's not good for me either, but I'd rather that than walk out and buy 20 fags. So
yeah, true. Okay.
Which I was tempted to do a couple of times. So I'm glad I didn't.
Would you like us to take that choice away from you? You know, from a legal point of view, whereby, you know, you bring in a legislation to increase it to 21, then 22, and eventually by 2025 or 2030, we say we're going to ban them. And I'm talking about vapes and cigarettes. Do you think that's a good idea, or do you think that takes away people's free will to kill themselves or destroy their lives?
I'd hate to see anybody getting sick from smoking. I mean, it's a horrible, horrible illness. But at the end of the day, perhaps if they took the choice away, it would make it slightly easier, because what you can't get, you don't want. But then the underground, you know, they never, prohibition doesn't work.
I don't buy that line. No, I don't buy that line. They talk about that with drugs all the time, right? Prohibition, yes, it's not perfect, right? Because we've seen that in America. Everyone uses America as an excuse during the prohibition of alcohol. But prohibition does work, because we have prohibition for all sorts of things. It's illegal to murder somebody. It's illegal to drive more than, you know, over the speed limit. But people still do it anyway, right? People still murder people. But it does reduce the amount of people who will do it, because we know there's a guideline there or a moral rule that we can't break. So by saying it doesn't work is incorrect. It's not hugely successful, because it still happens when you bring in prohibition of anything. But it does help. I mean, if drugs, I don't agree with legalising drugs, but if drugs were legal, I guarantee you more people would be taking drugs.
But I wonder if, you know, obviously for things like murder and etc., you know, it's prohibition works there because who wants to go to prison? But for something like cigarettes, you're going to get it is going to go into the hands of the gangs, because we might make it illegal in this country, but that doesn't mean that Eastern Europe does. So there'll just be a glut of God knows what's in them, cigarettes coming over and being sold on the streets. So if people want something badly enough, they'll find a way in a new market.
But still, if we smoke, if I'm seen smoking and we have prohibition on cigarettes and I'm seen smoking, a guard can give me an €85 public order fine, right? Let's say that's the way it works, right? So that will discourage people from doing it. The same way as in America, you can own a gun, you can have it in your handbag, right? But in Ireland, we can't. Now, people do have illegal guns, and there is legal guns in this country. But generally speaking, we don't chance buying a gun because we know it's illegal to own one. So what I'm saying is, it does discourage people from attempting to do something. Or at least it puts a red light on it and says it's bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they need to hit vaping more, in my opinion. I think, looking around, my own daughter, she's 22, so I see a lot of her friends. And smoking isn't a thing. It's not really a thing with teenagers and young adults anymore. They don't want to smoke. They have this oh God, no, that's disgusting and that's this and that's that. You don't see loads of kids standing outside I'm quite close to our secondary school here. And at lunchtime you walk past and all you can smell is strawberry and melon. I know, they're all vaping. Smoke anymore.
I know, it is shocking to see 14-year-olds outside schools vaping. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And if you run a vape shop, I mean, to be honest, I just think it's a little bit callous, because 3 doors up from the doors of our secondary school is a vape shop. Now, at the end of the day, there should be, remember they were bringing in this thing where you couldn't have fast food restaurants.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that should be done for vape shops too.
Yeah.
And if you own a vape shop and you've got a kid coming in the school uniform, you can make a pretty educated guess that they're not 18.
Yeah.
But you're still selling to them. You should get done. Your shop should be shut down, and that's the end of it. It'd be like handing a bottle of vodka to a 14-year-old. It's completely illegal, and no shop would do it. But they don't seem to take the same issue with the vape.
I don't know. I'm a little bit confused now, and maybe I just get Jane to check very briefly because I'm trying to remember. But the laws around vaping are not the same as the tobacco laws about the sale and purchase. They're not. So I think you can. It's like tattoos, for example. There's no law says you can't tattoo a 14-year-old, but there is self-regulation. And I think there is
I think the shops seem to be self-regulating in that you've got the bigger supermarkets who strictly have the signs up, no vaping or tobacco products to under 18. But I don't think they're covered by an actual law. I know with cigarette smoke, cigarettes, obviously they are. But I think vaping, they need to hit that more, because that is what's aimed at the kids. It's, if you've got something that tastes nice and it's melon or these new disposable vapes that literally your parents will never know you have them, because you could start one in the morning and by the time you come home from school, you're putting it in the bin because it's gone anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
So I think there's a lot of, and they're making them cheap. They're making them in bright colours. It's like a candy shop when you walk past some of the vape shops with the colours in the windows. And I know it's hypocritical, I vape myself, but I'm old enough to make that decision.
Yeah.
And what I do, rightly or wrongly, to stop smoking, to me it's the lesser of two evils, and hopefully I'll get off it completely soon. But for a kid, they could be on it long term. Like, they may never pick up a smoke, and that's fine, that's great. But until we can go 10, 15, 20 years into the future and see what these vapes are actually doing, they need to slap down on them and say, right, if you're caught selling to anyone, I don't think raising it to 21 is going to make a blind bit of difference.
Well, I'm looking here just on a correction, right? So the Taoiseach, which was Leo Varadkar, or is it? No, it would have been Micheál Martin, sorry, because that was in May. The Taoiseach described vaping as the revenge of the tobacco industry following progress made to deter young people from smoking. It comes as the Cabinet prepares to sign off on a new law which would that would ban the sale of vapes to those under the age of 18. The legislation, which is expected to be passed this summer, which hasn't been passed as far as I know yet, would also limit where e-cigarettes can be sold, which answers your first question, by the way. But that hasn't been passed yet, so I don't know. That was just proposed legislation. Anyway, getting back to cigarettes, so we'll stay there for a second because I'm going off on a tangent now. Margaret, how you doing? Hello, Margaret.
Hiya, Niall. How are you?
I'm good. Margaret, do you believe...
How are you?
I'm well. I could always be better.
No.
What's happening to Margaret? Margaret.
You're breaking.
I'm breaking up. I'm on the radio.
You're breaking up.
I'm on the radio station. I don't think I'm breaking up.
You're cracking up. All right, now, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You're cracking up.
Well, maybe we'll get you back. Alan, are you there?
Oh, very good. How are you?
Oh, Jesus. Alan, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Can you hear me, Alan? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, Margaret, I'm going to have to get you back on the line. I think it's your phone line is dodged.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get you Jane to ring you back there, all right? I just think there's a slight issue there. I do apologise. Anyway, the reason I was talking about it was because New Zealand brought in legislation last year where they increased the age for smoking cigarettes, and they never mentioned vaping. And the plan is, in New Zealand, that in the next 30 to 40 years, because all the cigarette smokers will eventually die, I don't mean from cigarette smoking, but they will all die of age, because we all die, it's quite natural, that nobody will be smoking anymore. Because as the years go by, they will increase the age for purchasing cigarettes or tobacco products. And even though I'm a smoker, I think it's a great idea. I think the world would be a better place without cigarettes. I wish they were never invented. I wished I never smoked. But sadly, I do. And I went on the vapes, like Niamh did as well. I went on the vapes for about 2 years. And because of, well, actually it was nearly 3 years. Because of, the way life gets in the way, generally speaking, I ended up going back on the cigarettes again, which is a really bad idea. And I smoke more than ever. And most people find that, by the way, when you go onto vapes and go back to cigarettes, you smoke more than ever. Anyway, let's get back to our callers. Alan, hi, how are you?
How are you doing? How are you?
Sorry, Alan, I'm sorry for holding everybody up there, and I'll come back to Margaret in a second as well, too.
You're good, yeah.
Do you think it's a good idea, Alan, just to get rid of them altogether or ban them?
No, I don't, because at the end of the day, at 18 years of age, you become an adult. Mm-hmm. And an adult should have free choice. If they want to smoke, they can smoke. If they want to vape, they can vape. Vaping is not the same as smoking. It is 95% proven to be safer.
That's at the moment, and I know that the NHS did that study going back 4 years ago, right?
Yes.
But here's the thing.
It's not an argument I want to get into, because I'm always trying to be. People try to prove me wrong, but
no, I'm not going to try and prove you wrong right at this moment in time. But what I'm saying to you is, 40 years ago, we thought smoking was reasonably safe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we don't know. You know?
Yeah, we do. But the products that are used in vaping are recognised products. They're products that have been used for years. The flavouring in vaping is the same flavouring you have in your food products. It's the propylene glycol was used in hospitals.
It was also used in nightclubs for smoke machines. Yeah.
Yeah, that was vegetable glycerine was used for smoke machines.
Was it not the kettlon glycol?
No, propylene glycol was a thinner liquid. Propylene glycol was used in air conditioning systems and to purify the air, basically take bacteria out of the air.
Okay, well, look, let's not make it an advertisement for vaping. No, all I'll say is neither one is a good thing to be doing, right? I mean, let's be fair.
You know what I mean? Nobody should be taking on vaping if they haven't been a smoker. Vaping is a quit smoking aid.
Yes, I would agree. It should be.
It is the most successful quit smoking aid out there. People have had more success with that than they had with patches and gum and stuff like that. The reality of it is, if you make cigarettes and you make vaping, illegal to the age of 21 or beyond, people will, as was already mentioned, people will turn to the black market. Now, the black market in cigarettes in Ireland is like, I can guarantee you ask most people who are long-term smokers, they took up a cigarette before they were 18 years of age.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Probably in school.
Yeah.
The last woman said, there's nobody smoking outside the schools. They're all going around with these vapes in their hands.
Yeah, Niamh said that.
Better. It's better than them inhaling smoke into their lungs, and they're only inhaling vapor, harmless vapor. Now,
let's not use the word harmless. Less harm than cigarette smoke, obviously.
Less harmful than cigarettes.
Yeah.
Considerably less harmful than cigarettes. So the reality of it is, there's proof that vaping is working. Because kids are giving up the cigarettes and they're thinking, no, I want to get a vape, it's cooler. I'd rather my son pick up a vape than pick up a cigarette.
But you'd rather he didn't pick up either, wouldn't you, Alan?
Of course, yeah.
But then, isn't that not really what we should be aiming for?
Yes, it is what we should be aiming for, but we should be aiming for that through education, not through enforcement. because once you do something through enforcement, like as you said yourself, we're collecting substantial amount of taxes on cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the taxes going to come from if all cigarettes are obliterated and done away with completely? Let's say we follow the laws and we say, right, we're not going to smoke, we're not going to vape, we're not going to do any of that stuff at all. The government is going to say, well, that's great, but we have to increase taxes because we lost the revenue. Cigarette smokes produced a substantial amount of revenue for most countries around the world, particularly in America. But the reality of it is, they're telling everybody they wanted to quit, but they don't really want to quit because they're going to lose the money in revenue. That's the truth of it.
But they balance this off, and I remember reading a document in relation to this before that, okay, you may lose money, on the revenue of cigarettes or the tax off the back of tax of cigarettes, but you gain money off the back of tax of healthcare. So in other words,
no, you don't.
Well, according to the experts, you do that you've less people with asthma, you've less people with emphysema, you've less people with lung cancer, you've less people with smoking related illnesses. So
okay, can I just say one thing? Less than 50% of people with lung cancer are smokers.
I know that.
Now, and then people go,
but there's still people dying every year from smoking cigarettes.
100%.
Yeah.
100% agree with you. But it is your choice and my choice. If I'm an adult and I decide I want to drive a car at 20 miles an hour on the motorway, okay, I'm going to get into trouble for that. It's just as dangerous as going really fast. But people have choices. If you make smoking illegal, it automatically goes into the hands of, gangs and God knows what else. And what ends up happening is people are going to go to a guy on the side street and buy a pack of cigarettes off and they go, here, do you want a bit of cannabis as well? Cannabis should be made legal in this country.
So why would we can argue, but that's another night's debate. But here's the thing, I don't agree with legalising drugs. We already have 2 drugs in this country which cause huge problems. Why legalise another one?
But the reality of it is, if you have smoking being put in the hands of the same people who are selling cannabis, you know what I mean?
Neve, hang on, I'll come to Margaret in a second. But Neve, you've been listening to what Alan says. He would rather see a 14-year-old outside of school with a vape than a cigarette.
No, absolutely. I agree with 99% of everything that Alan has just said. And I think as well, one thing that we haven't mentioned is when everybody says the same thing, every single person who's involved in addiction of any description will say the same thing to you. You can't get a successful quitting situation unless the person wants to quit. You can't make somebody give up alcohol. You can't make somebody give up drugs. Yeah, you cannot make somebody give up smoking. So if tomorrow the government said, right, that's it, smoking is completely banned, you'd have people like yourself, Niall, who isn't quite there yet. You're not quite ready yet. Right? Mm-hmm. If you were, you wouldn't have bought 300 cigarettes home. You're not ready. Yeah. So suddenly we've people like you who's gumming for your next, and I understand it because I was there,
I wouldn't mind. If they made them illegal tomorrow, I would give them up. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be going out looking for people down lanes selling them.
We see a lot of people would be though. A lot of people would be because a nicotine addiction is so strong and so powerful that after, when you haven't got one, or you say you haven't got the money for them, it's payday tomorrow, you're in the worst humour, you're in the worst mood, and you're hitting yourself off everything, and it's just, you're having a really bad day. Now, if they decided tomorrow that every single person who's addicted to nicotine, sorry lads, but we've banned it, you can't have it anymore, there's going to be a hell of a lot of people looking for the likes of the Kinahans and whoever else goes onto the streets and decides, don't worry, we have them. There'd be an absolute outpouring, and we don't know,
Yes, sorry,
Alan. Get poorer and the gangs get richer.
Yeah, but the gangs will always find something to sell. We know that. Yeah.
And you've seen what they do with drugs. They will stretch out drugs. They'll get whatever amount and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it by putting crap into it that you don't know what you're taking. They'll do the same with the smokes.
I'm going to hang on a second because let me just bring Margaret in as well. Margaret, hi, how are you?
How are you, Niall?
Is that better, Margaret? Can you hear me now?
You're sounding, you're back to normality. You're not cracking up.
I'm not cracking. I'm glad I'm not cracking up. Margaret, sadly, you had lung cancer. Now your lung cancer, it was from smoking, yeah?
Yeah, from smoking, yeah.
How many were you smoking when you got your lung cancer?
I suppose after my husband left me, I started smoking between 40 and 60 a day.
Wow, okay.
But before that, I was only smoking about 15. And then I suppose for 6 months, I didn't go outside the house. And I got the neighbour next door to buy me cigarettes. And I didn't eat. I lost 5 stone in weight. I used to go out at night, walk on the beach with the dog. 1:30 in the morning, and sit on the beach until about 5:30 in the morning, and smoked.
Smoked your brains out. Yeah.
To be honest with you. And that was my way of coping. And then facing into separation and then the book eventually, you know. And,
so just to let people know, you're in remission now, aren't you?
I am.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that.
Thanks to God, you know. And I'm back to the hospital now next month.
Okay, and you're off the cigarettes, I assume. You're off the cigarettes now.
No, I'm not now. I'm back on them.
Oh no, Margaret.
Now, can you tell me it's that easy to quit cigarettes? No, you said if they banned it tomorrow, you'd give them up. It's not as easy as people think it is. It's easy to say you'd give them up. I've said it when I was a smoker before I started vaping. I would tell, definitely I could give them up tomorrow if I wanted to. I just never did. And
Margaret, did the lung cancer not scare the shite out of you?
Well, you see, I think with me, Niall, my husband was my world. I loved him. I loved him so much. I never thought it was going to happen to me. He destroyed me emotionally and every way, you know.
Yeah.
And I
can still hear it in your voice. It's you're still getting over it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and it was years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, 2006. He walked out and left me.
Yeah.
You know, and you know when I was told I had the cancer. And I said to the consultant, I said, sure, that's grand, you know.
So, yeah.
It's grand, you know.
Because as far as you were concerned, your life was a mess anyway. You didn't really care.
Yeah. I didn't really, didn't make any difference to me.
Oh, God.
You know. And then he said to me, well, Margaret, he said, I don't think you understand you have cancer. I said, oh, God. I said, Doctor, I know. I said, what you said. I said, maybe I should be asking you, can you help me? And he said, yeah, you're lucky I can. And I said, sure, grand, sure. When are you bringing me in, the next week or 2 or 3? And you can cut it out of me. And I'd be grand then, you know. And he said, no, it's a big operation, Margaret, you know. And I said, sure, look, be grand. You can't change what I have. I said, that's the whole thing about it.
And can I ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt you, but... After when did you go back on the cigarettes? After you went into remission or after you had the surgery?
No, I think it was about nearly 2 years after the operation.
And when you had that first cigarette, when you went back on them again, did you not say to yourself, Jesus Christ, what the hell am I doing? I've just had lung cancer.
Can you see what happens with me, Niall, is I'm the type of person, I hate conflict. I hate around with anybody. I hate, upsetting anybody. And if I say something to somebody and they're offended, by what I say in a conversation, I say, geez, I'm really sorry. Have I upset you? Did I say something wrong? No, God, no. And then I start rethinking everything, And then I'm ringing the person and saying, are you sure I didn't offend you? And then somebody said something to me, that somebody said something to me one day and it just hit me right in the heart. That it was nasty. When I mean nasty, I thought it would never come out of a human being's mouth what was said to me. And I went to the shop and I bought 20,000 and I came home here, and after 2 weeks, the neighbours were knocking on the door to see was I still alive because they hadn't seen me.
Right.
I locked myself away because I just can't handle it. you know.
It must have been
I'm
bad.
just a
Yeah,
very-
must have been very bad for you to go back on the cigarettes.
sensible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many are you smoking now?
20,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
But
And how would you feel if the government made it illegal tomorrow to smoke?
I don't know, Niall, because I don't go out. You see, I don't go out socialising.
So as far as you're concerned, you're like my mother. My mother used to say, "That's all I have is me cigarettes."
Yeah.
I mean, well, hang on, Niamh. I mean, you're listening there to Margaret, and Alan is right. It shows you how powerful the addiction is. That Margaret has had such a tough time and gone back on the
You
friends you have.
You absolutely cannot judge Margaret for what happened.
Oh, I never judge her.
I'm sure some people would, say, "Oh God, how," But it's such a powerful addiction, and sometimes all it takes is like what happened with Margaret. Somebody said something really horrible to her, and she reached for the only thing she knew as a crutch, which was cigarettes. And it's a horror.
Yeah, Margaret. Sorry, what are you trying to say, Margaret?
I don't drink, you see.
Yeah.
And most people would turn to a bottle or go to a pub and get halactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never drink. I never drank in my life. I never tasted alcohol, And I remember one day I was sitting here and I was saying, maybe I'd be better off having a drink. And then
one is as bad as the other. If you start to go too heavy on it, surely you'll never be done in. Okay, but hang on, because I want to. Sorry,
I end up a bloody alcoholic.
And Margaret, once again, I'm sorry you've been through a lot, and my heart goes out to you. I'd love to give you a big hug. Anyway, that's beside the point. Getting back to what
you can use me virtually.
I can what?
And that what they say. You can send it down the line to me.
Okay, I'll send you a virtual hug. Okay, but getting back to what we were saying, myself and Alan and Niamh there a few minutes ago, in New Zealand, I think what they've done is a really good idea. And Alan, I think even you should agree with that. I shouldn't tell you what you should and shouldn't agree with, but the idea that you bring in a ban under the age of 21, next year you make it 22, the year after you make it 23, and eventually, which means you're not impinging on anybody's rights. All you're doing is stopping new people starting. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, well, let me put it to you this way. If you go to New Zealand in 10 years from now, looking into the future, let's say, and you ask the government, does anyone smoke in New Zealand? They'll tell you no, because we banned it 10 years ago.
No, that's not the way it works. They'll tell you everybody under the age of 30 doesn't smoke. That's what they'll say to you.
Yeah. And they'll tell you everyone under the age of 30 doesn't smoke. Then go and talk to people on the street and you're thinking, this is a completely different story to what I'm hearing. So if you're not allowed to smoke under the age of 30, where are you getting the cigarettes from, you'd ask somebody? And they go, your man up the road, there's a fellow up the road there, he sells them. He doesn't pay tax on them. We have no idea what's in the cigarettes, because even the packets, we don't know what's on them. So all you're doing is you're banning legal cigarettes for people under the age of 30. But
I think what will happen, I think if you do it slowly, for example, if you look at Ireland over the last 40 years, right, we all remember our mas and dads smoked. I don't know about you, Niamh, Margaret, Alan, but my dad smoked 60 a day, my ma smoked 40 a day. The house, it was like a nightclub when you walked into it, right? So we all remember our parents, most of our parents smoked. Probably 90% of the population smoked back in the 1950s and 60s. Then it was down to about 70 or 80%. Then, of course, we brought in the smoking bans in the pubs or in the workplace, blah, 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 back in 2000. That reduced it drastically again. Okay, some people still smoked and went to the social areas outside the pubs. But all of these things contributed to people stopping smoking, right? And also the price contributed to it as well. But the most important thing that contributed to it was education. And what we knew about how dangerous cigarettes were compared to what the people 50 years ago knew. They knew nothing. They thought it was glamorous. So we slowly educated ourselves. And what I'm saying is, if you do it slowly, you can change the culture rather than just flicking a switch tomorrow and saying it's illegal, which you're right, it'll go into the hands of, the bad guys. But if you do it slowly, you can change a culture. There are so many things now that we don't do that people did in the 1950s because we know now they're not good for us. And it slowly went away because we learned. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But here's the thing. Yeah, it has to be done very slowly, and it has to be the next generation. We have to teach the next generation. We're not going to reteach generations like our
No, Margaret
our
is.
generation
I'm not going to
before.
learn, and Margaret's not going to learn, and I'm not going to learn.
No,
And,
but it has to be done. It has to be done at a certain point in time. When that is, I don't know. But I give you an example. Say, for argument's sake, in the next 10 years, you cannot buy cigarettes in Ireland. There's that poor woman. Was it Margaret?
Margaret, yeah.
I mean, her only comfort. I could understand when she was talking about when she had her illness and her husband left, and all she had left was a packet of cigarettes. That sounds crazy, but it's the only comfort you have. Because, as I said before in a previous conversation we had, the biggest addiction with smoking is the hand-to-mouth comfort, the repetitive comfort.
Yeah.
It's the only comfort you have. You know?
Yeah, no, I know. I do get, and I do get you. It would be difficult to do that to anybody to ban it.
Yeah.
But
it's why vaping took off, because vaping mimicked. I often tell friends of mine. I have one friend of mine in particular. He kept taking up the vaping, couldn't do it. Went back to the cigarettes and the whole lot. And I says to him, Keith, do me a favour. In your head, remember, you're not giving up smoking. You're changing how you smoke. Now that's education, okay?
Mm.
And all of a sudden, he hasn't picked up a cigarette in months. He's on the vapes now.
Yeah.
And it was enough to help him switch from the deadlier substance to the less harmful substance.
Well, hang on. Let me just go to Mary before I go into the break as well. Because Mary, hi, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
Hi, nice.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
I don't know, Lauren, this guy down this.
Yeah, who's that? Oh, yeah, you better lower down the radio in the background. This guy, that's Alan, by the way.
Yeah,
you better lower him down there. Yeah, okay. So, Mary, go ahead.
Sorry, one.
Go ahead. What do you want to say?
I was, about a month ago, I was with my grandchild in town in Limerick. And I had him for the weekend, whatever. 12. And we loved being brought into town and whatever. So what we done was, he spotted something in one of the shops, accessory shops, we call it. And I don't know what it was. He said, Nana, just because he had his own money and I was actually giving him money as well. So he went in and I said, what did you get? I shouldn't have mentioned his name anyway, but here we go.
You're a bit muffly, but Mary, you're a little bit muffly. Are you on a speakerphone or something? Go ahead.
No.
Okay, so he's 12 years of age and he fancied something in a shop and you gave him a bit of money. He had a bit of money of his own. But go on.
Right. And he went in and he came back out and I said, what did you get? He said, nothing, Nana, because the man asked me, did I want to buy one of these? And I said, what? Those things that we'll call my son. We'll call him John for the sake of it.
Yeah.
He said, those things that John has. I said, what things? And he said, little vape things.
Wow.
Yes, did you what? Because he hadn't got what I wanted, Nana. And one of his friends got something over anyway.
So he was 12 and he was being offered a vape at 12 years of age.
He was being offered a vape out of it says South Mary on it. And I was going to get it, Nana, because over you being married.
Yeah.
Going, what? Just stay there a second. Just stand there for 1 second. And I went back into the stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for a break and I'm going to get Jane to fix your phone line there because you're a little bit muffly. But I'm shocked. And this is what the new legislation is going to be all about, by the way, which is restricting vape shops from selling to 12-year-olds or something like that.
Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
Maybe we can hear you a bit better now, Mary. But your 12-year-old went in and he was offered a vape. And see, I'm assuming he didn't get one, did he?
Oh, God, no.
No.
No, he said no. Because I had asked him, what did you say to him? No, my man would kill me.
Yeah.
No. Because, and anyway, I went like a lunatic.
I'd say you did.
And I just said to him, did you try to sell? He put the suitcase in front of him. He thought I was going to go for him. That's not what I do. I just wanted to say to him, you tried to sell a 12-year-old child a vape. No. I said, you did. You did. I said, because my grandchild is out there. He came out to me not 2 seconds ago, and I'm here now. But I'll tell you one thing. I said, have you got a camera in here? He goes, no. I'll tell you, it's a great pity, but I'm going to the guards now about you. Mm-hmm. A 12-year-old child. He doesn't even know what he's born from. You're selling him a vape.
And he didn't even apologise, no?
No. No, because how I know the child was right, he came out and he goes, Nana, it's the same name as you that he was trying to give me, a pink one. It said Mary, Proud Mary. I'm going,
Well, there's no... A 12-year-old is not going to lie about something like that. You know what I mean?
I couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, of course not.
He came out and I said, what did you get?
Yeah.
And he said, nothing, Nana, because I have to tell you something. And then he told me.
That's shocking, isn't it?
No,
I mean...
that how many children is he doing that to?
I know, yeah.
You know, that...
Well, as I said to you, as I mentioned earlier on, they did propose a bill of legislation going back a few months ago, and they said it would be in by the end of summer, and that will make it illegal for people to do that to people under the age of 18. At the moment, there is no law. Now, don't get me wrong. I think at 12 years of age, there should be some sort of law.
Well, he's just gone 12, and that's what he tried to do. Poor child walked out to me and he was red in the face.
Yeah.
When I had asked him, what did you get? Do you know? Because it is a necessary shop for all sorts of stuff.
And do you smoke
like
yourself? By the way, do you smoke yourself?
Oh, God, no. I did. Don't get me wrong now, I did.
Yeah.
Years ago. And I was actually asked that when I went in for my heart surgery last year.
Right.
I had heart surgery because I couldn't breathe, and I knew it was the same thing my dad died of and my brother died of. And when I had the medical assessment, they asked me, do you smoke? I said, no. And how long were you off? And I told him I'm off him, but my son is 35. I was pregnant on him. And that's when I gave him up. But he's 35 nearly.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not the fags. It was just
one of those things. Yeah, it's genetic. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, it was genetic. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It was genetic. And I got a whole new valve.
And how do you feel now? How do you feel now? You okay?
I feel great.
Good.
I feel alive. I wouldn't have med. They told me I would not have med. I got it done in January 22. I wouldn't have med February.
Right, okay. And what, your breathing had just got really bad, yeah?
It got very bad and I couldn't even go up my stairs.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything steep. And I'm going, flipping hell, what's that? Do you know?
But you're panting.
My sister said it to me. I knew because my father, there were the symptoms my father had. My brother didn't know he had. He just dropped dead in Portugal.
Right. And what did they give you, a bypass, or was just they?
A whole new valve.
Right. Okay. It's amazing.
Complete MOT. What?
It's amazing what they can do nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be here only from.
Yeah. Well,
he told me I wouldn't have met February.
Well, I'm glad you're here,
and
I'm glad Kathleen is still here too. By the way.
Oh, Kathleen. Oh, yeah, that woman with the yeah.
Kathleen, hi. How are you?
I'm all grand now. Yeah. I started smoking when I was 16, and my father told me about it, and he said, if you smoke, you'll never have any money. And of course, like all young people, didn't listen. My God, no. Mm. I only gave up the cigarettes about 4 years ago, and I went on the vape.
And how do you find it?
I find it grand now. But
okay.
What I really have to say is this, that when I worked it out now, when I smoked, I used to spend €92 a week on John Player Blue. Oh. But it was very hard to give them up. Oh, it was very hard. Even with the vape, it was so hard now.
Yeah, I know. It's expensive. It's an expensive hobby.
And a very expensive hobby, yeah. But, yeah, I'm okay with
How
the
much
vape,
is
thank God.
now?
Sorry, Mary, what do you say?
How much is 20?
15 euro.
Oh.
15.
15. And the average person smokes 20 a day. So...
Yeah, well,
work that one out.
I love to smoke. I used to love to smoke with a cup of tea in the mornings. Mm. But I got a warning as well from the hospital because the cholesterol was it's smoking added to cholesterol, and it was blocking my heart. The valves to the heart.
Valves, yeah.
The valves, they're the major ones, yeah.
Yeah, and it told me, the smoke, and I said, well, you need to stop because you won't live long if you keep up the smoking.
By the way, if you buy 20 cigarettes a day, currently at the moment, it will cost you €5,475 per year.
Oh my God!
Per year. end your life.
Jesus, but it's
$5.5 grand to kill yourself per year.
Oh, yeah, but you know what? But it is a very hard habit to kick now.
Kathleen, should they ban them? Should they ban them? Or set a target to ban them? Cigarettes and vapes.
I say ban vapes?
Yeah.
No, Jesus.
That's only because you're vaping.
I'm a vapor.
But here's the thing, right? I don't want to have a go at people vaping because I used to do it myself as well, right? You know, at the moment, from what we know, it's a lot safer than smoking cigarettes, right? But it's still not safe either. Do you know what I mean? You're still ingesting chemicals. You're still ingesting chemicals and artificial colours.
They don't know.
Well, yeah, well, maybe in 30 years' time, somebody will come along and go, why did we ever legalise vaping?
No.
You know what I mean?
Pushing the fucking daisies up by then now.
I think we'll be all pushing up the daisies by then. Except for Mary. Mary's got a new lease of life with her new valve. She's grand. She'll be fine for another 30 years.
Another couple of years, she's got.
Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio, the multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.